And so on the first day I ever served in public office, had just gotten sworn in, the first issue I ever had to vote on was whether to suit Julian Bond as a member of that body. And there was a trial that took place in the Georgia House. People representing Bond, people representing his accusers of, and saying that he shouldn't be entitled to take a seat. And that debate ranged all day long. You can imagine the emotions were so high. It was such tension. And at the end of the day, it had grown dark outside, a vote was taken. And this is the first vote I ever cast in public office, was whether to suit Julian Bond or not. I didn't agree with most of what Julian was, almost everything I didn't agree with. But I also, as a lawyer and somebody who respected the Constitution, I was convinced that he had every right in the world to say what he wanted to say, take positions he wanted to take. Indeed, as an elected person, he had even more reason to speak out the way he wanted to, no matter how unpopular it was. So I had concluded that I was going to vote to seat Julian Bond. I also knew that that would be a very unpopular vote, even in my district. I had no doubt that the people in my district would not want Julian Bond seated. And so therefore, I realized that I was making a politically risky vote, to say the least. But I decided that I'll be darned if the first vote I ever cast in public office is going to be one that I believe to be constitutionally wrong. And I would rather not have a long political career than have one that started off doing something that I knew in my heart was the wrong thing to do.
So in his last days, when I was visiting Lewis out at Emory Hospital every day, he was in his hospital bed and had his typewriter beside the bed, and of course every day he was going to feel like resuming his column, you know, he was going to be able to write one tomorrow. So I went by one day and he had his typewriter and he said, well, I think I'm going to be able to write one the next couple of days. He said, you know, you told me when I started this column that I could only do it about 10 years, I'd burn out and have to do something else. So I just wanted to remind you. It's been over 10 years and I'm still at it. And I said, Lewis, that's amazing how you do it. He said, I got a secret. What's that, Lewis? He said, I remember a lot of things that never happened. He was the best.
Every governor has called themselves the education governor. Mm-hmm. Which one has come closest to being a true educational governor?
Well, in my opinion, I was not here until in the 60s and I didn't know as much about it. But in my opinion, Zell Miller, because of the Hope Scholarship. I don't think there was anything in that century that did for this state what that did. As I said a little earlier, it did two things. One, it kept good students in the state. They were going to Chapel Hill and Vanderbilt and places, but the Hope Scholarship, when they were eligible for it, parents would say, well, you just stay here. You got that, you need to just stay here, and then you can put the money on your master's degree and so on. So it kept the better students in the state, good students in the state. And secondly, it provided an emphasis and a feeling among the children who had not seen a higher education as a possibility. It gave them hope that that was a possibility and opened the doors to more people. There's no question about it. We've had, what is it now, over 900,000, maybe it's over 1 million now, who've gone to college on the Hope Scholarship.
But we would go and get together as a conservative Democratic forum, discuss bills, and then leave it up to the members how you want to vote. Well, it went from 8 to about 32. And then that was in about 1980. Well, Reagan then becomes elected. And so consequently, there was only a 50-member difference between Democrats and Republicans. 26 votes could change everything. Well, we were about a 32-member group, up from 32 to 40. And so the press got hold of that, and so they named us, because we were from the South, you know, and we were conservative. They named us the Boll Weevils.
The Blue Dogs were and are an extremely conservative group of Democrats, which I was also a conservative Democrat. But very honestly, there were some things that, while I was conservative on the budget, on spending, there were some things that I disagreed with them on, and I didn't take an active part in that. But they are in existence today, and as a matter of fact, have increased their numbers in the House, and they do a good job in trying to bring moderation to spending bills primarily.
I looked to the party because, one, for the pro-life issue and for family issues, and so I think others did the same thing, and it grew until the Republican Party became stronger and stronger, and as I said before in our interview, a lot of those values and principles were the same values that my parents had as Democrats years before this. So it's just been a shift there in issues, I think, and the party that showed the stronger attempt to answer some of these questions on social issues that emerged as being the stronger party at that time, and more people gravitated then to the Republican Party.
One of the lessons I learned early was taught to me by Q.V. Williamson, who had been a member of the Board of Aldermen for a number of years, a tower in the black community, in government particularly. And he told me, he said, "Richard, you can disagree vehemently and passionately with an issue, but let it be on the issue and not on the personality."
You know, we had a talk about the Green Door Committee. We had an agreement that, you know, we could fight all we wanted to inside that room, go at each other, get your best punch, but we went out there unanimous. When we walked out of that room, we made our case, and we won it. If we lost it, we lost it. But we went out of there unanimous, and it worked. And I'd like to see more of that.
So one day a friend came to me and said, "John, you know, the speaker doesn't like you." He doesn't? No. Why? And he said, "You got involved in the House speaker's race one time a few years ago." And he didn't appreciate it. So I went to my dear friend Jack Elder. I said, "Jack, I got a problem. What should I do?" I said, "I might as well go home if I can pass the bill and simply can't pass it in the House." He said, "You need to go to him and apologize." And said, "If you apologize to him, you'll never hear any more out of it." And I went to him and apologized, and he reached out, shook hands with me, and said, "It's a forgotten matter."
I tell folks I don't know a thing in the world that the Georgia Department of Agriculture does that's partisan. We serve people. And I preach it every day when I'm having staff meetings with my staff, that keep in sight, if we do a good job of serving the public, they'll give us credit for it. And that's the best politics you can have, if people say you're doing your job and doing it well.